Good afternoon, everyone. Let's get started, actually, if that's all right with everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Stephen O'Keefe. I'm the chair of our consolidated SAU 39 school board. I'd like to welcome the members of the public who are in attendance this evening, as well as my fellow board members as we get ready to have a pretty action-packed 1-hour meeting this afternoon on Monday, January the 4th. Which is customary in all of our school board meetings. We're going to go ahead and we're going to begin by reading the right to know law with regards to our virtual meeting session. I'd like to read through a checklist to ensure that the meeting we are holding is in compliance with the right to know law. As chairperson of the SAU 39 Consolidated School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to executive order 2020-04, and its extensions, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there are no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's order. In accordance with the emergency order, I'm confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possible by video and other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee and our school board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously to this meeting through this platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously watch or listen to this meeting on Zoom and via phone, and by following the directions and links provided on our website, www.sau39.org. We have provided public notice of the necessary information for accessing this meeting. We are also providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during this meeting if there are any problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please email awallace, W-A-L-L-A-C-E, @sau39.org. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will be adjourned and we will reschedule. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Finally, let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state where they are and if anyone else is in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the state right to know law. So let's start off with our roll call vote. Ms. Kuzma.
Kuzma, I am at home and alone.
Thank you. Mr. Gothier.
Gothier is in the home office alone.
Great. Ms. Beam.
Terry Beam in my home office. My husband is here, but he can leave if we go into non-public.
Great. Ms. Grugin.
Home alone.
Mr. Conklin.
Hi, sorry, Conklin parked in a car alone.
Thanks, Josh. Glad you made it. Mr.
Yep.
Gronstra. I do not see Mr. Gronstra. Oh, there he is.
Yep, sorry. I had to unmute myself. I'm in my car alone.
Perfect. Thank you. Ms. Facey.
I am home alone.
Mr. Coughlin.
Home alone.
Ms. Taylor.
Home alone. Thank you.
Mr. Torres.
I am in my office in my place of employment and I am alone.
Thank you. Ms. Grund.
I am home and alone.
Perfect. Mr. Glover. Mr. Glover. John, I saw you come off mute. Can you hear me? There you are. We'll come back to you, John. Ms. Lawrence.
Hear me now?
I can hear you, John. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I was transitioning from one device to another. Yes, I am present, home alone.
No worries. Ms. Lawrence, are you with us this evening? Do not see you on the roll. Mr. Eckhoff. Mr. Eckhoff.
Steve,
Yep,
can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yeah, home alone.
Perfect. Ms. Hinckley?
I'm home alone.
Thank you. And Mr. St. Dennis?
Home alone, getting my steps in.
Awesome. And Steve O'Keefe, I am also home alone in Mount Vernon. With that said, let's get started. We're first going to start off our meeting this evening on the agenda with a public comment session. If members of the public would like to address the SAU 39 school board, please go ahead and use the raise your hand feature on the Zoom technology, and you'll be identified and you'll have the floor for 3 minutes. Again, members of the public, if you wish to address the board, please use the raise your hand feature on your Zoom interface. You'll be identified and allowed to speak and address the SAU 39 school board. Great, seeing no hands raised from the public, there was a piece of correspondence that I did receive that I would like to enter into the record this evening from Ms. Gibson. Without objection, we'll go ahead and deliver that to Danae to include in the minutes in terms of her feedback to the SAU 39 school board. Let's move on, and our superintendent would like to address and give an update to the school board with regards to our election process for this calendar year. Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So earlier today, a number of people met to discuss the executive order, or, I'm sorry, the emergency order that was issued by our governor last week. And so each of you are going to be hearing about this either at your board meeting later this evening or the emergency Mount Vernon board meeting that's been called for tomorrow. So for the sake of brevity, I thought I would address it here briefly. So this morning, the chairs of each of the school boards, along with the chairs of both select boards and all of the moderators for the 5 entities, 2 for the towns, 3 for the school districts, met. And we discussed the emergency order, and a consensus was made amongst that group, which then needs to be discussed and either adopted or rejected at each board level. And that consensus was to delay our deliberative sessions and our voting day from February and March to May and June. What that will mean is that our deliberative sessions, if each board adopts these changes, our deliberative sessions will be May 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the same order they are typically held in February, meaning Sauhegan on Monday, Amherst on Tuesday, Mount Vernon School on Wednesday. And then election day will be Tuesday, June 8th, which is the second Tuesday in June and the only date in June allowed for these purposes. So some of the other provisions of this change are that the filing period for candidates running for office remains the same, meaning the candidate filing period that's open right now will remain open through this Friday at 5 p.m. It also means the term of people currently sitting in office is extended until June after the recount window when people who are elected or reelected take the oath of office and are seated into their seats. So that's a very, very high level overview. There'll be more debate and discussion, I'm sure, at each individual school board and with the selectmen. It's important that we all move in the same direction because of our ties specifically around voting and to make sure that we all work on the same day. And so the hope is that all of the boards move in unison, and the hope is that the work that was done earlier today by the chairs of each board and the moderators helped accomplish that. So that's the overview. There will be more discussion at the Amherst and Sauhegan meetings later tonight and the Mount Vernon meeting tomorrow night. But I thought I would let all of you know right away here. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if Mr. O'Keefe would permit it, or we could just skip those for the other meetings. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're all going to be having more in-depth discussions through individual boards, but let's open up the floor for any questions, immediate thoughts to Superintendent Steele. I see one hand raised, Mr. Gothier.
Yeah, sorry to be the one that's going to ask a question here instead of at the individual meetings, but I'm sure it's something that all of us will have an impact on. Does this give us enough time to do postings and hirings if new positions are added or and passed through budgets?
So no, it doesn't. Meaning if we have positions that are proposed in a new budget, we won't be able to officially hire those until we have funds secured for those positions, which will mean after the election date. Our administrative team met earlier today in between the meeting this morning and today. And our plan is to go through the hiring process and to disclose to those candidates that we select the reality of our situation and acknowledge to them that they might have to take another position somewhere else as a result. But those are only in those very specific situations where it's a new position that only exists in the proposed budget and is not represented in a default budget.
Okay. The other questions are more Amherst specific, so I will hold off on those until our meeting.
Very good.
Great, thank you, Tom. Seeing no other questions, let's move on and move into our non-public session to discuss a personal matter based on RSA 91A3 semicolon 3, number 2B and C. If I can have a motion to move into non-public. Ms. Kuzma, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Coughlin. Let's go ahead and do a roll call vote. Ms. Kuzma.
Kuzma, yes.
Mr. Gothier.
Gothier, yes.
Ms. Beam.
Beam, yes, and I am alone now.
Thank you. Ms. Grugin.
Grugin, yes.
Mr. Conklin.
Conklin, yes.
Mr. Gronstra.
Bronstra, yes.
Thank you. And Ms. Facey.
Facey, yes.
Mr. Coughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Taylor. Ms. Taylor.
Taylor, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Torres.
Torres, yes.
Ms. Grund.
Grund, yes.
Mr. Glover.
Glover, yes.
Mr. Eckhoff.
Eckhoff, yes.
Ms. Hinckley.
Hinckley, yes.
Mr. St. Dennis.
St. Dennis, yes.
And is Ms. Lawrence with us yet? Not seeing her. O'Keefe, yes. So let's move into non-public, if that's right with you,